The world is filled with incredible discoveries, yet some of the most baffling ones have left scientists completely stumped. Forget the usual tales of the wow signal or the Antikythera Mechanism. This time, I'm exploring mysteries that go beyond the norm. Ones that rarely make the headlines, but deserve your attention. For instance, why do we have anuses, or butts for that matter? Are animals secretly keeping our planet running? And what if our entire universe is just a fragile bubble in a false vacuum on the edge of collapse? I'm Mike with List 25, and here are 25 mysterious discoveries that science still can't explain. 25. The mystery of our anus, and why we have big butts. It's not a question most of us ask every day, but once you start thinking about it, it's a head scratcher. As The Atlantic's Catherine Wu pointed out, the evolution of the anus is a pretty big deal in the animal kingdom. Before it showed up, animals had to eat and excrete through the same opening. Not exactly efficient, right? The appearance of the anus allowed animals to evolve into larger, more complex shapes. But here's the kicker. Scientists still don't know which creature developed the anus first, or exactly when it happened. And since soft tissue like this doesn't fossilize, it's a tough mystery to crack. Oh, and why do humans have such big butts compared to other mammals? That's still up for debate too. 24. What's hiding in the ocean's mysterious twilight zone? As you dive deeper into the ocean, sunlight starts to vanish. About 200 meters, or 650 feet down, you enter the twilight zone, a region where sunlight barely reaches and our knowledge grows murky too. According to Andon Lavery from the Woods Hole Oceanic Institution, we know so little about this mysterious part of the ocean that it's easier to define it by what we don't know. What we do know is that this region plays a critical role. Some experts believe there may be more fish living in the twilight zone than in all other parts of the ocean combined. Plus, these deep-sea creatures are thought to play a huge role in regulating our climate, but I'll get to that in a bit. 23. The puzzling world of quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement might sound like something from a sci-fi movie, but it's actually real, and scientists are still scratching their heads over it. Basically, it's when two particles are so closely linked that even if they're light years apart, what happens to one instantly affects the other. It's one of those phenomena that totally breaks our understanding of time and space. And here's where it gets even weirder. Researchers now think black holes could be entangled, potentially connecting them through wormholes. Some even suggest that space, time, and gravity could all be part of one huge quantum network. 22. What will animals look like in the future? Trying to predict the future of evolution is tricky, but that doesn't stop scientists from imagining what animals might look like millions of years from now. According to Liz Alter, an evolutionary biologist, it's important to consider how humans are changing the environment today. With climate change, urbanization, and other human impacts, the future of animal life on Earth is bound to take some unexpected twists. While we can't be exactly sure what creatures will roam the planet, thinking about it gives us a fascinating glimpse into the unknown. 21. The mystery of time itself. We all deal with time every day, but how much do we really know about it? There are plenty of theories, but the big question is still unanswered. What is time, really? Is it something we've just made up to track our days? Or does it have a deeper role in the universe? And why does it only move forward? Could it ever run backward? We know how to move forward in time, just wait a year or two. But sending messages to the past? That still sounds like science fiction. Some scientists think time might be tied to game theory or something called cellular automata, but for now, it remains one of the biggest puzzles in science. Hey guys, just jumping in here real quick to tell you some exciting news. You know how you love watching our videos for amazing facts? Well, what if I told you that you could also have 500 amazing facts in the palm of your hand? That's right, we wrote a book. This one right here. What the facts are you talking about? And you can order it right now and have List 25 right in your library or on your coffee table or wherever it is you keep your books. It's available right now on Amazon, so click the link in the description and grab yourself and friends and family a copy today. 20. The surprising intelligence of brainless slime mold. Slime mold might look like a simple blob, but don't let that fool you. It's surprisingly smart for something without a brain. Technically, it's a single-celled organism, but when multiple slime mold cells come together, they form a massive network that can solve puzzles and even navigate mazes. What's even more impressive is its ability to make decisions based on risk and reward, and some evidence suggests it can even keep track of time, all without a brain or nervous system. How? Nobody knows. 19. Is there intelligent life beyond Earth? The idea that intelligent life might exist elsewhere in the universe has fascinated us for ages. With the sheer number of planets out there, it seems possible, maybe even likely, that we aren't alone. But despite efforts like the SETI project, we still haven't received any definitive signals. So what's the holdup? There are a couple of theories. Maybe advanced civilizations have decided not to contact us, thinking it's a bad idea. Or maybe the messages are out there, and we just don't know how to detect them yet. Either way, we just don't have the answers. 18. How long can humans really live? Is it possible that someone alive today could reach 150 years old? No one knows for sure. While the average human lifespan has increased over the years thanks to advancements in healthcare, we're not sure if there's an upper limit. Could someone live well into their second century? The technology and medicine that could make that possible might already be in the works, but if we figure it out, it raises some serious questions. For instance, how would society adapt to people living that long? What would that do to our current retirement planning and the job market? Well, maybe we'll find out in the near future. 17. Are long-haul symptoms only a COVID-19 thing? Millions of people have experienced long-term symptoms from COVID-19, sometimes lasting for weeks or even months after they've recovered from the initial infection. But are these long-haul symptoms specific to COVID? Scientists can't seem to agree. While some believe it's unique, others argue that other viral infections can also leave people with lingering symptoms, though they've often been overlooked in medicine. Conditions like chronic fatigue syndrome, for instance, have long been linked to viral infections. The common thread between these long-haul symptoms seems to be how the body reacts after the virus is gone, whether through persistent viral particles, reactivation of dormant viruses, or autoimmune responses that lead to ongoing inflammation. 16. Why don't we know more about endometriosis? Endometriosis is a chronic condition where tissue, similar to the lining of the uterus, grows in other parts of the body, often causing severe pain. Despite how debilitating it can be, doctors still don't fully understand what causes it, and treatment options are frustratingly limited. To make matters worse, many people with endometriosis face dismissive attitudes from healthcare professionals, often taking years to receive a proper diagnosis. One of the biggest issues is the lack of research funding. Endometriosis has been historically underfunded and under-researched, and patients always leave waiting rooms in hospitals feeling incredibly neglected. 15. The mystery of a prehistoric leader's identity. In 2008, archaeologists uncovered a 5,000-year-old skeleton in a tomb near Seville, Spain, buried with a crystal dagger and valuable artifacts, clearly indicating this individual held significant status. Initially thought to be a young man based on the pelvis bone, further analysis using a more precise technique revealed something surprising. The skeleton belonged to a woman. And that's where the real mystery probably began. Who was she? Why was she buried with such treasures? And what role did she play in her society? Despite all of our scientific advancements, the true identity of this prehistoric leader remains a mystery. 14. Beethoven's health and a family secret. Ludwig van Beethoven died at 56 in 1827 after years of dealing with all sorts of health problems, hearing loss, digestive issues, and liver disease, to name just a few. In 1802, he wrote a letter, the Heiligenstadt Testament, asking his doctor to figure out what had caused his illnesses after he died. Fast forward nearly 200 years, and scientists were finally able to honor that request by analyzing DNA from preserved locks of Beethoven's hair. The results? Well, they ruled out some conditions like celiac disease and lactose intolerance, but instead of answers, they actually uncovered something totally unexpected. Evidence of an extramarital affair somewhere in Beethoven's family tree. It caused a bit of a stir, but as far as solving the real mystery of his health, well, we're still left in the dark. 13. How many species are there on Earth? Trying to pin down exactly how many species share our planet is a tricky business. Estimates are all over the place, ranging from 3 million to more than 100 million. Most experts tend to settle around 8.7 million, with about 6.5 million species living on land and 2.2 in the ocean. But even that's just an estimate. We've only officially documented about 2.1 million species so far. The rest? Well, they're still out there waiting to be discovered. 12. Could tiny life forms help us tackle climate change? I told you I'd get back to this idea. Just like we rely on the good bacteria in our gut for digestion, the soil beneath our feet is teeming with bacteria, fungi, and viruses that help keep it healthy. These tiny organisms are crucial for planet growth and soil health. But here's the thing. We barely know anything about most of them because they can't be studied easily in a lab. Yet, research shows that certain microbes can actually help trees grow up to 3 times faster. This raises an exciting possibility. Could these good microbes be some of our strongest allies in the fight against climate change? By promoting faster plant growth, they could play a huge role in absorbing more carbon and supporting food security in a warming world. The potential is there, but there's still so much to discover about their hidden powers. 11. How do animals help shape our planet? We know animals do a lot for ecosystems. I mean, they're pollinating plants and spreading seeds for starters, right? But their role actually goes much deeper. They play their part when it comes to nutrient cycling and predator-prey balance, all things that are important to ecosystems, and we're only beginning to understand how it all works. For example, did you know that after a volcanic eruption, spiders help plants regrow by catching seeds in their webs? I mean, why didn't they teach us that in high school? So, how far does their influence go? Could animals be shaping entire ecosystems, maybe even the planet itself? For now, we're still figuring that out. 10. How many people can the Earth actually support? With the population growing by about 1 billion every decade, you have to wonder just how many more people can the planet handle? We're already seeing the strain, from habitat destruction to climate change and an increase in diseases spreading from animals to humans. As more people put pressure on the planet's resources, the big question is, where's the breaking point? Scientists have been debating this for years, but it's not a simple answer. It all depends on how we manage resources, food production, and our impact on the environment. Even then, the answer changes depending on countless factors, so it's not really a solid answer at all. If we figure out how to live more sustainably and in harmony with nature, Earth could support more people than we think. But if we don't make some changes, we could hit the limit sooner than we'd like. 9. The mystery of consciousness. Consciousness, our ability to be aware of ourselves and everything happening around us, might just be one of the biggest unsolved mysteries out there. Even with all the advances in neuroscience, we still don't fully understand how brain activity translates into things like thoughts, emotions, or self-awareness. This is what philosopher David Chalmers called the hard problem of consciousness back in 1995. The real question is, how do basic physical processes in the brain, like neural impulses, transform into something as personal as conscious experience? It's a mystery that scientists, philosophers, and even theologians are still trying to figure out. 8. The missing baryon problem. Astronomers have mapped out much of the universe, but there's still one big question. Where is all the regular matter? This mystery is called the missing baryon problem. Baryons, the particles that make up ordinary matter, like protons and neutrons, seem to be in short supply. According to our calculations, a significant portion of them is just missing. The latest research suggests these missing baryons might be hiding in the vast stretches of gas between galaxies, known as the warm-hot intergalactic medium, or WIM. But even though we have this clue, scientists still haven't quite figured out their exact location or nature, so the mystery isn't fully solved yet. 7. Was Einstein wrong? Okay, wait. Maybe we should first ask if Isaac Newton was wrong. His theory of gravity was solid enough to get us to the moon, but it breaks down when we're dealing with extreme speeds or strong gravitational fields like near black holes. That's where Einstein's general relativity came in and improved our understanding. It explains things like how light bends near massive objects and how space and time warp around black holes. But even Einstein's theory isn't above being questioned. Scientists have noticed some strange things that don't quite add up. Take the unexpected slowing down of spacecraft like Pioneer 10 and 11, something gravity alone can't fully explain. These odd little details suggest that there might be something missing in our current understanding of physics. 6. How should we measure evidence? The typical way of drawing conclusions from experiments, using statistical significance, has some serious flaws. Here's a quick example. If you run an experiment twice and get statistically significant results both times, you'd think that's stronger evidence than doing it once, right? Well, not quite. If the second result is just a little less significant, the combined p-value, the thing that tells you how strong your evidence is, can actually become less impressive. Weird, right? It's confusing because you'd expect more data to strengthen the case, not make it weaker. The whole system can feel like a mess, and some experts believe game theory or other advanced mathematical approaches could eventually help make sense of it. 5. Genes, cancer, and bad luck. You might have seen the headline saying cancer is mostly caused by bad luck. That claim comes from a study in Science that stirred up a lot of debate. The study wasn't saying everything about cancer is random, though. It simply pointed out that many cancers arise from random mutations that happen when cells divide, things beyond our control. Naturally, some people didn't like that interpretation, feeling it overshadowed the roles of lifestyle, genetics, or environmental factors. The reality is that scientists still don't agree on just how much of cancer is due to chance versus things like heredity, your genes, or lifestyle, smoking, diet, etc. It's a complex mix that science is still untangling. 4. Can we find order in chaos? Physicists have been scratching their heads for ages over how fluids, whether it's water, air, or gases, actually behave. The equations we use to describe their motion, called the Navier-Stokes equations, are so complicated that no one has fully solved them. We're not even sure if a general solution exists, and if it does, it might contain mysterious singularities, or points where things become totally unpredictable. So the big question is chaos, like turbulence in the atmosphere or the unpredictability of the weather, something we just don't understand yet? Or is it simply impossible to predict, no matter how advanced our math gets? 3. Can the forces of the universe merge into one? The universe runs on 4 basic forces: gravity, electromagnetism, the strong nuclear force, and the weak nuclear force. What's pretty mind-blowing is that if you crank up the energy enough, some of these forces actually start to blend together. Physicists have already seen the electromagnetic and weak nuclear forces unify in particle accelerators, and with even more energy, the strong nuclear force is expected to join in. But gravity? That's where things get tricky. So far, no particle accelerator, including the famous Large Hadron Collider, has enough power to bring gravity into the mix. The LHC operates at about 14 trillion electron volts, but we need something a trillion times stronger to even attempt unifying gravity with the other forces. Not exactly something we'll see in the near future. To make things more complicated, grand unified theories, which try to explain how these forces fit together, have their own problems. Some predict things like proton decay, where protons eventually break down, but we'll never see that happen. Others predict magnetic monopoles, isolated north or south poles, but no one's found any yet. So while it's possible that all forces could merge into one, it's a mystery we're still far from solving. 2. What exactly is gravity anyway? We've got a pretty good understanding of how most forces work. Electromagnetism is all about the exchange of photons. The weak nuclear force? It's carried by W and Z bosons. And gluons are responsible for holding atomic nuclei together through the strong nuclear force. All of these forces can be broken down into individual particles, which makes them easier to study. But gravity? Well, as you just heard, gravity is a bit of a rebel. Most theories suggest that gravity should be carried by a particle called a graviton. The problem is, we haven't found any yet. Even worse, if gravitons do exist, they interact with matter so rarely that they might be impossible to detect against the constant background noise of the universe. And if gravitons have any mass at all, it would be incredibly tiny, smaller than even the lightest particles we know, like neutrinos. Some ideas, like string theory, suggest that gravitons and other particles might actually be tiny loops of energy, but so far the math hasn't given us much to work with. 1. Could we be living in a false vacuum? The universe has been around for about 13.8 billion years, so it seems pretty stable, right? But what if all that stability is just an accident waiting to happen? The concept of a false vacuum suggests that empty space might not be in its lowest possible energy state, thanks to the Higgs boson and its field, which gives particles mass. Physicists like Alexander Kusenko think the calculations we've done so far hint that our universe could actually be in this false state. If that's true, the universe isn't as stable as we'd like to think. With enough energy from a major cosmic event, this false vacuum could shift into a lower energy state. That would trigger something called bubble nucleation, where a new bubble of true vacuum expands at the speed of light, wiping out everything, including matter as we know it. Eventually, the universe we live in could get replaced by a whole new one with different physical laws. It sounds bonkers, and admittedly a bit terrifying, but don't worry. The fact that we're still here means that it's probably not something we need to lose sleep over. Still, it does make you wonder, Did our universe begin because another one's vacuum popped and we're just a cosmic accident? Well, that's a wrap. And if today's list got you thinking, then you'll love the video we did a while back on 25 incredible discoveries that science can't explain. I know the title is pretty similar, but the content is not. In that one, I explored the mystery of humpback whales, supergroups, the eerie years when the Earth went silent, and the strange blobs deep inside our planet. If any of that sounds like your kind of mystery, then go ahead and click the link right here, and I will catch you next time.